Do you monitor all the apps on your kids' phone, or do your kids have a free rein when it comes to choosing what they want to download? Or perhaps you use an app like FamiSafe to do the legwork for you. Only one of my kids has a phone right now, but it's just for texting and calling us and not using it for social media. But I know that it's gonna come in a few years. They're going to be nagging me to allow them to sign up for Instagram or whatever the hot new app is that everyone is using at that time. So I've been going through many of the apps that are popular with kids, preteens and teens, to see if they're actually any good for my kids. As parents, we need to know what to look out for, and with the help of good apps like FamiSafe, we can limit our kids' exposure to certain harmful behaviors. Some of the apps that made it into my list are probably ones that your kids will kick up a fuss about not having. So if you stick around to the end, then I'll let you in on some tips for dealing with these sort of apps. First up, we have Ask.fm. This is an app and website that allows users to set up a completely anonymous account to post questions and comments on another person's profile. Users who should be aged 13 and over can also post questions themselves and receive replies. You can link it to your Twitter or Facebook account and share the content that way as well. Ask.fm prides itself on its anonymity features. So obviously cyberbullying, sexual content, and general creepiness are abound. The general premise of the app, asking and answering questions, can be fun for people as long as it is not abused. But put anything out there like this, then it is highly likely to be used in a bad way too. Some people can be preyed upon by anonymous predators without any kind of monitoring. On the subject of monitoring, Ask.fm has zero. So people can choose their own avatar photos or names that can be absolutely inappropriate for kids, as well as send very inappropriate messages, pictures, and even videos. If you're going to allow your teen to use this app, then definitely make sure they set up their profile so that they can't receive any anonymous questions, and they can also make sure that any of their content doesn't show up on the stream. Next up is Snapchat. Snapchat is one of the most popular apps amongst the kids and teens. For those that don't know, it's a messaging app that allows users to send and receive an instant photo or video message. It has a lot of fun filters, so you can add things like puppy ears to your photos, etc. So naturally kids love it. But you do have to be at least 13 to use it, at least legitimately. Now, one of the features of Snapchat is that once you send the snap, it is deleted as soon as it is received and viewed. Similarly, chats and stories are also deleted within 24 hours. This gives a false impression that once it's deleted, then it's gone forever. This can give in to impulse decisions to send something that you can't take back. But as we all know, there is no such thing as gone forever anymore. Other users can take photos of the snaps and then use them in whatever way they want. You can also set your live location using the Snap Map function, which not only lets your friends to know where you are, but may also allow other people to view it too. And that is definitely something that you need to watch out for. Also watch out for Discovery page, which can sometimes show things that aren't age appropriate for kids, and recommendations such as Quick Add, which can lead to kids being in touch with strangers. The main concern with Snapchat are cyberbullying and online grooming, especially due to its erasing of evidence feature. Discord is a messaging app for connecting with friends and chatting together as a group. Schools even use it for coordinating projects as a group, but you have to make sure that it's used properly. By joining the wrong groups, you can be exposed to online grooming, sexual content, and graphic violence through the chat. So make sure your child knows that they are only to join groups where they know everybody in real life and not to go into private messaging with people they don't actually know. There have been instances where children have been tricked by predators posing as children and then going to private chats to groom them. And you may have seen in the news that there was a human trafficking ring in the US that had used Discord to lure teenagers into sexual exploitation. Whisper is an app where you can anonymously share emotions and thoughts using words and pictures. There's also a private messaging function that people can connect through. It's all meant to be about sharing your innermost secrets. In reality, people are sharing things like their sexual fantasies and other sexual content that is totally inappropriate for kids. Sure, you have to be 17 plus to use the app, but as we all know, kids much younger manage to get hold of these kind of things all the time, and all it takes is uploading a photo of someone else. Why it's not straight up 18 is beyond me. The chances of somebody trying to groom your child is definitely high with this app due to it being able to share your location with others. As with all anonymous apps, this is open to wide-scale abuse as people feel that the curtain of anonymity gives them the courage to share or say things that they would not otherwise do in real life. My advice, get a journal for your child instead. Kik is another anonymous messaging app with over 300 million users. It's very popular. Users can send photos, videos, text or links and use video and text messaging groups. One of the problems for parents is that Kik only saves these messages for around 48 hours before they are deleted, which makes monitoring very hard. Evidence too. There are also two apps within Kik app that are actually dating apps. They're called Flirt and Meet and Chat. People are matching with others based on geolocation, age, interests, and then it's just a quick swipe right if you like them. Anyone 13 plus is allowed to use this within the app. So it's no wonder that Kik has been linked to online predation and grooming, as well as explicit content being shared. The FBI is constantly catching pedophiles on here using fake accounts. That's how dangerous it is actually for kids. TikTok has been a major player on the app scene for several years now. It was originally set up as a way for musicians and singers to share their content with the world. Now it's open to anyone with over 13 to create short-form video content and upload it. It's a lot of fun for kids, but there are several big downsides. All content can be shared globally, meaning that anyone can see it unless you set it to be shared with only people you choose. There is also the public feed or For You page, which shows people from all around the world. This is part of TikTok that could potentially expose your child to anything from other kids singing and dancing to graphic acts of violence and sexual content. There's also been a number of alarming TikTok trends, such as the blackout trend, that have been linked to several deaths in children as young as 8 years all around the world. Kids see these things on TikTok, they encourage each other to create them, and they think that it's cool to try them for themselves. But kids don't have the foresight that we parents do, and they're not gonna have it for quite a few years, and they don't understand these dangers. The last but not the least of the bunch, it's Yubo. This app was formerly known as Yellow. This app is known as Tinder for teens, and like Tinder, you can swipe left or right depending on if you want to connect with other person. You also have to enable your live location, and it's a key part of Yubo so that you can find people within your area and match with them. Needless to say, this is awful for kids as they can be targeted by local predators who may encourage your child to meet up with them. If that's not enough and you want to know more about Yubo, it's super bad for your kids, and you should look at our full review of Yubo, which is coming up next. The fact is that today there are so many apps out there for kids to choose from, and many of the apps I've talked about have millions, if not tens of millions of downloads. Just because everybody is using them doesn't mean that they are safe. You may have noticed that I barely even mentioned cyberbullying, and that's because every single app out there comes with a chance of your child being bullied. That goes for Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, as well as ones that I have talked about today, and many, many more. I would say that these apps are some of the worst, but this list is not exhaustive, and there are many more apps out there that are just as bad. So how can we help our kids with this? Well, it's up to you to decide what apps you're okay with your child having. I personally wouldn't allow my kids to have any of the above until they're the right age. I know that kids need and want their own sense of agency, but we can't leave it to them to figure out these kind of apps for themselves. This isn't like building a den or playing out in a street with the neighbor's kids. Being left quite literally to their own devices, pardon the pun, means that they can be exposed to totally inappropriate things, and once it's out of the box, you can't put it back in. So I'm going to be using FamiSafe to monitor the content of my kids' phones so that I know the apps they have downloaded, and it will also monitor things like keywords to make sure that any messages that my children receive are flagged if there is inappropriate content or words used. That doesn't mean I get to see the whole message. So my kids will still retain some privacy, but it will mean that I will be made aware of things that I find inappropriate. The app will also block certain games and apps that I don't want them to be able to download. And there are a lot of other features that can be used with FamiSafe. After all, it's there to help keep our kids safe. Now for me, communication is also the key. Talking about the dangers of online world, such as cyberbullying, scammers, or fraudsters who will steal their and their family's personal details, or online grooming and sexual predators, and what to do about them, can help us keep them safe. If they want an app, especially a social interaction app like the ones above, then go through settings with them. Disable the geolocation so no one can find out where they live, where they're located, and make sure everything is set for maximum privacy. Teach them that if someone says or does something that is inappropriate or hurtful, they should block that person and report them to the app owner, as well as you, their parent, and another trusted adult, as a, for instance, teacher. Make sure they know not to delete any evidence. People can and should be arrested and prosecuted if inappropriate interactions with minors are found. But there can also be consequences for online bullying too. I would also set some ground rules for phone usage. Limiting the amount they are allowed to use their phone and social media can be a good thing. For one, these apps are a total time suck. And for another, they can also be highly addictive. For this, we can also use FamiSafe because it has a feature to monitor how much time your kids are actually spending, and you can also limit it. Explain to them why it's not okay to share their personal information such as names, addresses, location, passwords, and definitely not any photos or videos, even if the other person tries to share theirs with them. They can all be used against them in a very insidious way, and you never know what the other person is sharing and how true it actually is. Set the rule that they should never agree to get together with a person, with anyone they have met online, without parents' approval or supervision. This is the most dangerous thing that they could possibly do alone. Now, if you've enjoyed this episode, then please hit the like button, share it with other parents like yourself so that they can be aware of the dangers that some of these apps pose. And if you want to check out more of our videos, then take a look through our channel and consider subscribing to get notifications whenever we upload new content. For that, you have to press the bell button. Otherwise, YouTube is not going to notify you. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!